are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
How the sound up?
It's not. Let's try it again.
The sound up on your device?
Yes, ma'am.
No. It's the only thing that can play. Is the cord in?
Yes.
Okay. Take it in and out. See if. I don't have the music to play it.
Yeah.
There we go. I still can't hear it from that cord. That cord must not work. Let me see. Do I have another one?
All right. Well, we are pulling it together. Welcome.
Play it the way you were playing it.
Okay, we're gonna go back and try it again. We had a little technical difficulty. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour. We're just gonna play it like this.
Put the microphone on.
Here we go.
Okay, just skip it and talk now. Skip it and talk.
Good evening, America. Hello, Chicago. And what's up, West Side? This is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. I was trying to get the theme music going, but we had an audio issue. We know that we start the show with Lift Every Voice and Sing every single week. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Happy New Year. Bon année. And how did they teach me how to say it? Felicitas Año Nuevo. There we go. So happy New Year to everybody, everybody. Today's show is all about the city of Chicago. Now, y'all know that I love Chicago. This is my favorite place on the planet. Everything I do is for the people of Chicago, specifically us who live on the west side of Chicago. West side people love the west side. So today's show is going to be about terrorism. So I've been talking about this. I actually mentioned it on last week's show that Al Qaeda has identified us as a space where they are going to literally start doing terrorist attacks. And they said that they were going to do it using trucks. Trucks meaning that they are going to get the truck, see a group of people, and mow them down. Al Qaeda has already published that this is their plan, and I've been saying this for years, and it actually happened in the great city of New Orleans. So today we're going to talk about that and how that ties into our sanctuary city ordinance. Because again, I've been talking about the sanctuary city ordinance long before the first bus arrived, because this has always been an issue about safety and security. It has nothing to do with the Venezuelans. It has nothing to do with anybody else who came here illegally. That's your business if you chose to come to the United States in that way, because Tom Homan is on his way 16 days and the deportations are definitely going to be kicking into gear. However, you know how this show goes. First things first, we have to get a dose of self esteem from the greatest president to ever do it. This is my Donnie. Now we can share him. There is more than enough for everybody. He is the 45th president, soon to be president number 47. Chicago Red will be in the building for the inauguration. I found this bomb house. I'm going to tell y'all all about it after we get our dose of self esteem. Roll tape.
African Americans built this nation. You built this thing. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first. My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African American communities all throughout our land. Our agenda is lifting up citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. But while we are fighting every day to build up our nation, the far left only wants to wreck, ruin, and destroy our nation.
All right, all right, all right. Again, that was Donald John Trump Sr. letting us know exactly who built America, who made this happen. And my friends, that is the Negro. Nobody is more American than us. Now, I was thinking about that earlier today when I was thinking about like what qualifies as an American and who qualifies as an immigrant. I think that if your family was in the United States of America at the end of the Civil War, when the Union was reunited, then you are counted as a non-immigrant. I mean, yeah, you're counted as a non-immigrant. Anybody that came after the Civil War, then you are a part of the immigrant class because you still have that immigrant story with you. And we appreciate all the people who came to our country to do right. However, that makes us totally different. So the Negro is in its own class. We have white people who are now using the term foundational white people. Black folks can't have nothing, but they got a point. They are foundational white people. We have people who are foundationally Mexican, who live down in the border states, who've always been there going back and across the border. They see themselves as being very American, but they have like Mexican roots. So those people are foundational. The foundational group is much, much different than the people who came with their immigrant story. And I think that the foundational groups need to link up. It's time for us to link up so that we can save America. I digress. Let me tell y'all about this hookup that I found in Washington, D.C. So, Chicago Red is going to the inauguration. We're going to the multicultural ball. We are sending some people to the BCF ball. We are going to the Liberty Ball, and we're going to see where else we can get in and fit in. I say that because I initially was looking for a Airbnb, and it was like $3,000 a night. So I put out this GoFundMe, and I'm like, please help us, America. But God is good. And so we were able to find something that was a lot less expensive and right in Washington, D.C. We're like a couple of blocks away from the White House. So God is definitely with us. And shout out to Chicago Red, all the people who stuck with me this entire time when people were saying that I was crazy and up out of my mind. They were like, no, this girl got good sense and we're going to stick with her. Speaking of that, I want to give a shout out to Congressman Davis. I went to Congressman Davis's open house today. Y'all, my congressman is mad at me. He is for real mad at me. He wasn't even like trying to get down with me how we normally get down. He was just like, it was like cold energy. And I'm like, dang, Congressman, what I do to you? And so one of his assistants, I was talking to someone, and one of his assistants walked by and they were like, do you know who this girl is? She is the reason that Trump won. Hell, she almost flipped the state. And I'm like, dang, did we? He's like, man, you know what you did. And I'm like, dang. But remember, This time, we took 753,000 voters from the Democratic Party. Jim Crow Joe beat my Donnie by 1 million voters in 2020. Kamala only beat him by 247,000 in the state of Illinois. That means that 753,000 people said no to the Democratic Party, which has always been our goal. Hashtag dump the Dems. Moving on, let's talk about geopolitics really quickly. So we know that right now in the Red Sea, there is a war going on between the Houthis down in Yemen, and they are blocking the port or the entrance to the Red Sea, which is affecting commerce that goes up to Israel. They're also droning and bombing the Israelis. Well, friends, today it went up 3 notches. Today, China sent the Houthis ballistics, or they sent them advanced components for ballistics and cruise missiles. So why would the Chinese go and be helping the Houthis if they were not building these political alliances? Right now, we have BRICS countries versus NATO. And so now China is starting to interject itself, and now they are starting to literally arm the ops. It's going down, y'all. Be sure to buy yourself some gas masks. I bought all my family members gas masks for Christmas. Y'all better go get y'all some gas masks. I think they're like $60 a pop on Amazon. Get the 4-pack, get one for everybody. Buy the extra filters. It is about to literally go down. You can believe me or not. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm just here to tell you the news, but be sure to get yourself a gas mask. This fog stuff is not a game. Moving on. For weeks, I've been asking, where is Kwame Raoul? And the reason I keep asking where is Kwame Raoul is because the Chicago Inspector General put out the January report, which was literally last year, that the Chicago City Treasurer needed to be prosecuted for official misconduct, which is a class 4 felony based on the investigation that they have done in the IG's office. Well, Kwame Raoul did not move at all on this recommendation. Actually, it's like I'm the only person who read the report, but I digress. Instead, Kwame has decided that he wants to come out and do a public service announcement about people getting Ozempic and Wegovy shots. Now, he doesn't have time to he has time to bother Tiffany Henyard at her good government job. He has time to talk about Wegovy, but he does not have time to think about the treasurer. Listen to this PSA from the Attorney General of the state of Illinois. Roll tape. Uh-oh.
Millions of Americans are looking for help losing weight. Many are seeking GLP-1 medications, including Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, and Zepbound. For reasons ranging from the cost to availability of prescription drugs, some are looking for alternate means of buying what can be life-saving medications. In December, my office issued cease and desist letters calling on 5 med spas in the Chicagoland area to stop using language that misleads consumers about the products they are purchasing. We continue to review advertisements from others as well. With scammers and bad actors deceptively marketing untested products, I strongly urge consumers to obtain prescriptions for GLP-1 medications from their healthcare provider and fill them at licensed pharmacies.
That was a word from Kwame Raoul. He said, do not go to the spots and get your shots. However, what made me think about this is that Ray Lopez, who I lovingly call Ray Ray, as in King Ray, he wants to come out with an ordinance that completely bans Ozempic and all those types of things in the city of Chicago. He says that he wants to ban non-prescription use of GLP-1 products. And what that's going to say is it shall be unlawful for any person to sell or give away any GLP-1 receptor agonist, including semaglutide, dulaglutide, exenatide, liraglutide, lexi-glutide, and any other compound, therefore, or solution compound or mixture of thereof that has not been approved by the FDA except upon a written prescription from a physician licensed under the laws of the state. Any person found violating any provision of this section shall be fined $1,000 for each offense. So they're about to ban the skinny shots in the city of Chicago because they need those drugs for people who are actually sick. Moving on. That was what I had for international news and for what we have going on here in the city. On the state level, I want to give a shout out to the State House because they just changed the DCFS funding rules. Before, they said that if a child was staying with a relative, that relative wouldn't necessarily be eligible for foster care payment because they are kin. Well, they have a new law called the Kind Act or Kinship in Demand. This bill prioritizes relatives as legal guardians for children in foster care and could require the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services to focus on those placements first. It will also allow DCFS to pursue federal funds to give to relatives taking in those children as well as doing foster care. They're saying that the Kind Act will show that foster kids can stay within their community so that they don't lose the bonds with their families. It is difficult and traumatizing to come into foster care, but if we can keep the children with their family or with relative placements or anyone they've known in the past, then this is more than helpful. And this came from Miss Michelle Hayes, and she is the director of foster care and the Children's Home Association of Illinois. So shout out to State Senator Dave Kohler of Peoria. He's the one who championed this bill, and we want the children in DCFS to definitely stay with their families. Moving on. Lastly, let's start talking about these deportations. Okay, so the deportations are coming. We got 14 days. Tom Holman has already said that he is on his way. Now, because he's on his way, friends, these people are not just going to leave. They're not just going to pack up their bags and be like, oh, time to go. Let's get back on this trek back down to my country. No, they are getting ready to act a fool. Okay, act a real live fool. So they spoke to these people out in DuPage County and this group called Immigrant Solidarity DuPage. And the executive director of Mano a Mano, which is a family resource center in Waukegan, said that they are worried. They are anxious. They don't know what's going to happen. They are scared. They said that they're saying before people were saying during COVID that, oh, the Latino community are our heroes. What happened? I guess because they were working during COVID, they thought that they had one up on us. They also said that they're trying to put their worry and fear into action, but they are absolutely preparing for the worst. They're saying that there is uncertainty about what the new administration would mean for asylum applicants and dreamers, who are those who were brought into the United States under DACA. And they're hosting Know Your Rights seminars. I also want to tell you that Mexico has hired lots of lawyers who are going to be here in the United States helping people legally fight getting deported. The president of Honduras said if we deport people back to them, then they're going to close our military bases. So everyone knows that this is happening, but nobody wants these people to be deported back to their countries where they belong, where they can bring all the skill sets that they've learned from the United States right back to their people. They don't want them back. And I really don't understand, because now people are saying, oh, we have to do something with the dreamers. They've been here for a long time and now they're middle aged and they don't speak the language. If I went and robbed a bank with Baby Love right now, they're not going to let her keep any of the money because she's a child. I committed a crime and they're going to justify that crime. If these people came here as children, then now you got a lot of skills to go back home with, but you definitely got to get up out of here. Some people might say that that's cruel. These are people, but again, we cannot victimize villains. The villains of the story are their parents who chose to come here illegally and bring their children along when they committed this crime. Moving on. Lastly, they're saying that they're also very nervous about the factory and workplace raids. And so they're saying, we've meaning the immigrant community, we've been working so hard to keep this country up. If we go back, who's going to work in the fields? Who's going to work in the factories? If you don't have people to work in the factories, in the fields, you're not going to have a product in the market. So they're saying that America's going to crash without them, but I think that Maidani is going to cut the aid and people got to go back to work. Moving on. How do the police help ICE? So the reason that I'm going so hard for the sanctuary city, guys, is because the sanctuary city has prevented the Chicago Police Department from helping ICE in any way. Meaning that if ICE gets here and the city of Chicago is like, ICE gets here and they're like, hey, Chicago Police Department, please give us some help. The police department is not going to help them. And the reason that the police department is not going to help them is because the sanctuary city law prevents that from happening. So it causes people to get arrested, get out of jail, get arrested, get out of jail, get arrested, get out of jail. And they never get elevated to the level of actually going to jail. Getting deported. So this is what they do. This is called the Trust Act. And the Trust Act prohibits local law enforcement from assisting ICE. Under both Cook County ordinance and state law, the sheriff's office is limited in its ability to perform federal duties. Enacted in 2017, the Trust Act states that a law enforcement agency or official may not participate, support, or assist in any capacity with an immigration agent's enforcement operations. It also prohibits ICE from it prohibits the police from transferring a person into ICE custody, and it restricts access to databases and equipment. So this is a very serious matter. With only a few exceptions, the only time they can do it is if a federal criminal warrant is involved. However, that criminal warrant cannot be immigration related. And then they smacked a little bit more on top of it, and this is called the Way Forward Act, and this amended 2 existing state laws to add additional requirements and protections for immigrant communities. So they've been working super duper uber hard in the state house to make sure that the migrants and the immigrant communities are protected while we get all this craziness out of the state house, like aborting children. But I digress. There is an ICE center in Broadview, and there is one in Dodge County. I don't know where that is, but I guess Broadview would be our local ICE office where they would get the people to that space. They're saying that you could see raids at a church, you could see raids at schools. It's going to be disruptive. It's going to scare people, so on and so forth. If you see ICE doing their job, just move out the way. Just move out the way. They say that there are 250,000 undocumented individuals in the city of Chicago. That's 250,000 people right here in the city of Chicago that ICE is coming to get in 14 days. So be sure to stay out of these people's way. Do not give them a hard time. If you see people out there saying, if you see something, say something. The only thing that we're seeing and saying is helping ICE. That number is 866-DHS2-ICE. If you want to give me a call, 773-345-9977, 773-345-9977. Let's take a couple of calls before we get to the meat of today's show. One moment. And I thank you guys for being patient with me. Let's take our first caller. Caller, welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Recall Brandon.
Recall Brandon.
You got it. Anyways, as far as the immigration issue, there's a lot to this, and I think some of these people have to understand that it's not going to be for, I think, the average person. And this is where I think maybe the understanding of the whole issue should come in. First of all, if I was in charge, I would make people that have been here for years with what's called TPS status. Two of my best friends are Honduran guys. And they were over here when the Hurricane Mitch devastated Honduras and a lot of Central America. And they couldn't, they created the issue because they couldn't go back because the infrastructure is so bad that they created this legal document, to allow people to stay here longer than the tourist visas would allow normally, and they wouldn't be in violation of their tourist visa. And of course, these things are perpetually renewed, and so they've been here for over 20 years. In one case, my good friend, he's actually married to a DACA girl. They have two children together. The one daughter, she'll be 10. She's Jaylene's age, and she'll become an Olympic gymnast. You should see her discipline, how she does things. And they've been here. They own a home. They both, he works for, he's got a CDL driver's license and things like this. So they're productive people. There's no criminal problems. And those people, they should be given a path, maybe 10 years or something, to citizenship and have a legal status, because those people shouldn't, be forced to go, and that would be cruel if they did. And also, frankly, I know there's a lot of conversation about DACA people, but like, again, in my case, of my friend, she's like 32 or 3 now. She's got a daughter that's like 18 or 19, maybe she's a little bit older. But then their other daughter, who's 9, the gymnast, and they have another son now, he'll be 5. They're wonderful people, and they're part of society. They're paying taxes, they own a home, the whole 9 yards, and there's no criminal issues. So even though she's a DACA person, there has to be some sort of set aside for those people, because to send them back, it would be, very cruel in my opinion. And to be honest with you too, I think a lot of illegals, so to speak, that have been here that aren't documented, a lot of those folks have been doing a lot of things here, again, legally, no problems. And so it's kind of a dicey issue to, include all these people that are non-criminal that have been here for a long time, because frankly, I have a couple of tenants there like that. They're not documented, but they pay the rent. They're good people. And when the Venezuelans come in, they got these work permits. Those people lost their jobs because they've been working under the table and stuff. And all of a sudden now, these Venezuelans get these legal work documents. Well, guess what? The owners say, okay, adios. So this has affected a lot of people. They've actually become very pro-Trump. So, go figure, So that's kind of the dicey thing with the immigration thing. And frankly, in my case, the mother of my daughter, she is also illegal by definition, because when she came over, she was 18 years old. She's now 42. But when she came over, she had a visa. She was basically an orphan because both her parents died when she was younger. And, she came over. She's been here since she's been 18. And what these people do, they send their passports back to have them stamped. And of course, it doesn't, if the I-95 form doesn't go with it, they know that's not a legal, return, or they know it's improper.
So
what happened was, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
The long story short is, when I told her I'd marry her because Trump was going to become president, and because of some problems with the case, it's still, it was denied. And so she's still in limbo land, but yet, she's trying to apply for things, and it's difficult. So
yeah, she doesn't have a social security number.
Understood, I guess. And those people, I'm sorry?
She doesn't have a social security number. It's supposed to be hard for her.
No, she does have a social security number.
Oh, so then why can't she apply for things?
Well, because of her status. I mean, the problem is they denied. See, in her particular case, supposedly she left, but then she had her daughter. She's my daughter Christina's age. She'll be 21 in March, and they read her. So what's happening is there was a gap of time, about 2 years from the time she supposedly left, when she was like 19 or something, to the time she became pregnant here. So basically, they're telling her, even though we're applying based on marriage, they're denying it because she could not prove that she never actually left the country. So what they're telling her is, we think you left the country and came back in a second time illegally without a proper visa.
Oh, well.
So this is all the stuff with these. So it's an issue, but I mean, like I said, she was, basically an orphan, and she.
I get it. I get it.
Those relatives when she was
Jim,
a kid. How's she supposed to know?
No, I get that. I promise you I get that. But I'm telling you, on behalf of a large swath of my listening audience, that is none of our American business. We don't care, especially the Negro. We could not care less. This is why MAGA moves so well, because we have
Well, and I
absolutely
get
no
that. I mean, listen,
emotional
I'm fine with that. So is
investment in
she,
this.
actually. But the situation is, there are people that have been here for 20 some years. And they have children here.
It's
You
like
can't send
selling
them back.
drugs for 20 years. You've been making money selling crack for 20 years, and then the feds come get you. You don't say, well, oh my God, what about my
you're talking
lifestyle and my kids? They're used to going to private schools. Now they got to go to public schools because my drug money ran out. When you get caught doing your crime, the crime is over.
Well, okay, if you're talking about something like drugs, I understand, but you're talking about
crime.
And this is where there's going to be a lot of resistance to this, and I guess what I'm trying to say is there's going to have some sort of maybe changing of some of the rules to make people have legal status that have been here, prove themselves, and haven't caused a problem, so they don't have to get snared up in all this stuff.
Okay, that's
like I said, my doctor friend. I mean, she came over when she was 3 years old.
She gotta go.
She got a family. She owned a home.
She gotta go. She gotta go. Her parents shouldn't have put her in that situation. That's. I mean, I'm just reporting the news.
And you can't deport somebody who's got children here. And
Tom Homan said we're going to send them back together.
Well, my friend is from Honduras, and the kids are born and raised here. They're citizens. So what do you do with them?
They got to go with their parents. They got to go with them.
Well, that's not going to happen. I'm sorry to say. I love you, honey, but that's one thing that I think a lot of people are going to resist against, and then frankly, I'd be one of them, because I don't think that, I get it, that criminals and things, we agree 95% on all political things, but for something like this, like these kind of cases, and there's millions of them, it's going to affect a lot of people, and frankly, I don't think it's right. I mean, if a kid comes over here when they're minors, I mean, we're not talking about like a 17-year-old gang member from Venezuela that came in as a newborn baby.
A newborn baby.
My friend's case, she was like a 2-year-old girl here. I think the old man's dead now or something. So you can't. What I'm saying, what you have to do is change the legal status so people that aren't criminals, don't have DUIs, etc., if they're shown themselves to be good, productive people, and they're paying taxes, and they're employed people or whatever, they're functioning in the society.
Okay.
And that's a functional part of our economy. I mean, they buy food, they buy stuff, they go out and have dinner and stuff. That all contributes to the economy.
Thank you, Jim.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
See you. 773-345-9977. Y'all, that's his opinion. He has the right to have it. But for me, in mine, we don't care. We do not care. Nobody cared about the crack babies in the 90s. Nobody cared about them, and they were real live American citizens. They just threw them into a system and gave them nothing and created a system to put them in jail, to do all type of horrible things. 866-DHS2 ICE. See something, say something today. We're going to take one more caller, and then we're going to talk about Al Qaeda here in the city and what we're going to do moving in 2025. Because in 2024, we were focused on the migrants, the illegals, and we were successful. Clap it up for us. We were successful. We were successful. We were successful in getting Madani in office. We were successful in getting the attention of the border czar. We were successful in having a conversation with him, and now these people are leaving. So what's the relevant conversation in 2025? It can't be about them anymore because we already have a solution for them. Instead, friends, we have to pivot this conversation to terrorism. And we're going to talk about that once we take our next caller. And then I'm going to let y'all know what we're doing. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Hey, T-Ray, this is Dennis, your favorite 2A activist.
Hey, how you doing, Dennis?
I'm doing fine. I have to disagree with Jim because, it's based off of responsibility and you know what you were doing at the time. And my thing is this here. If you know you've been here illegally and you've been here paying taxes, working law-abiding citizens for 25 years, you telling me the first 5 years you've been in this country, you couldn't apply for citizenship? If that's the case?
Hey, I don't know about it. I don't know how to, but you're right.
I mean, because to be honest with you, we have more rights to be in this country than those who've been here 25 years, because we were born with two things: a birth certificate and a social security card.
That's right.
And see that, the only thing they could do is reapply for citizenship. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. However, don't make it hard for the natural born citizen that been here, paid taxes, going through a lot of things lawfully, and stuff, because for somebody who did things unlawfully. I mean, I understand it, but I don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about it is, get them and stuff, and send them back where they came from. And then if it ain't gonna do no damage to the economy, it's probably gonna help the economy even more offhand. So if you send them back, then let them try to apply for citizenship. But you sit up here for 25 years doing nothing, and then you think that it's not fair to you because you decided not to do nothing. I mean, I'm sorry, but I've been here for 61 years. I don't have to apply for citizenship.
Yeah, as I told Tom Holman, I whispered to him, I said, look, if they give you a hard time about this deportation stuff, come get us. Come get us. We will talk on your behalf. Because no, we're not okay with none of this.
Hey, all I got to do is dress in black. I am legally armed, and I will work for free if necessary. So Tom Holman, just deputize me. That's all you got to do. And as far as the mayor go, I still got that orange jumpsuit. So one size fit all for him and Pritzker. You might have to kill a few oranges for Pritzker, but nevertheless, we still got the same size. It still say convict.
Man, it's going down. It is really about to go down in 14 days. I'm like anxious about it, but then I'm like, what's about to happen? So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. And then what John Mershon is trying to do, I think he's doing this intentionally by blocking this on the 10th on Trump.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to talk about that. But yeah, go ahead.
But he's trying to make it harder on him. But in a sense, he's doing Trump a favor, because then he got to deal with the constitutional rights now. So now here's the thing: if Brandon Johnson want to go on a spending spree, then this is what we do. We don't shop in Chicago. We don't buy no bags in Chicago. Cancel your Netflix and whatever it is that he's going through this taxation without representation. We just go ahead on and do our business outside the city of Chicago. That's the only way we could slow it down, because we got to get rid of two diseases. Some is like Byron Lopez and Brandon Johnson for one. We got to get rid of those two. They just like. They just worse than a case of hemorrhoids.
Worse than a case of hemorrhoids? Lord have mercy. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
773-345-9977. Man, this year we are having a ball. We need everybody to come to City Hall. If you got any time during the day, try to pull up at City Hall. I personally don't like going down there. The energy is just the people are nice, okay? Like the Sergeant at Arms, shout out to the Sergeant at Arms who are in there. They're super nice people. The police are there, but the energy of being down there is just so, sometimes you get there, and they're like, no, you can't walk in this door. You got to go back outside and walk around the whole building and come around the other side. And then you got to stand in the line. Then you got to go through the metal detectors. Then you got to wait by the elevator for somebody to escort you upstairs. Then you got to go through some more stuff. You got to find somewhere to sit. It's just a lot. But I think that everybody should try it at least once, so that you can go down there and see what we're doing and see that this is a very serious matter, which leads me to what I want to talk about today. Once again, I'm going to read this article to you all that was published on July 29th, 2021. That was almost 4 years ago. More than 10 years ago, the I team discovered, the I team being ABC7 WLS, shout out to them. More than 10 years ago, the I team uncovered Al Qaeda's plan for open source jihad against the Chicago skyline. Now they're back with a new high gloss publication for radical followers and a new video encouraging violent attacks on America by one person jihadists and lone wolf terrorists. Hundreds of people were killed and injured by truck ramming attacks from terrorist groups in the past decade. One man rampages were encouraged by Al Qaeda and ISIS leaders targeting cities worldwide. The playbook for those attacks date back to more than 10 years of a 10-year-old edition of Al Qaeda's Inspire magazine set with the Chicago skyline as the backdrop and the pickup truck as the ultimate mowing machine. Again, a pickup truck as the ultimate mowing machine. Now, they're saying that there have not been any public marching orders for lone wolf jihadists since 2017 until 2021. Again, this edition of Aspire is calling for attacks on Americans in the U.S., and then they praise people who had just committed 2 mass murders. This is wild. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because Chicago is a sanctuary city. And when you're a sanctuary city, your city becomes magnetized for illegal immigration from around the world because they know, as I've read to you, they will not be given over to ICE if they're picked up by local police. And so they have identified Chicago as a place that they are definitely going to attack. They wouldn't have used the Chicago skyline if they were not trying to come attack us. So once again, we are calling on the Chicago City Council to please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, put a moratorium on the sanctuary city ordinance. We need that gone so that ICE can work with the Chicago Police Department not to get rid of the Venezuelans and the migrants and the women with the children who are selling candy and the hardworking DACA people that we just want to just reward for coming to our country illegally. No, we need that out of the way so that the Chicago Police Department can work with ICE and the Department of Homeland Security to make sure that these terrorist attacks don't happen here in the city of Chicago. I don't know why this is so difficult to come to a conclusion about. I've been saying this for years and years and years, and now this has fallen upon us. Now, we had homeboy down there in Texas who, I mean, not Texas, in New Orleans, who drove the car through their New Year's operation. He killed a lot of people. One little girl wasn't even supposed to go down there. She was from Mississippi. Her mother told her, don't go to New Orleans and go out with your cousins. She snuck out there anyway, and she got killed in an act of terrorism. Also, so we saw what happened with homeboy. He looks like a Negro man. If you watch the video of him talking, he actually sounds like a Negro man. He has dark skin, he has curly hair. Friends, that's an Asian. They trying to Kamala us with this man. That man is 100% Bengali. This is why it's very, 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 very important that the Negro delineates in 2025 because they're about to start using a whole bunch of copper-colored people to do a whole bunch of crazy things, and they're going to try to hide behind the Negroes or blend in with the Negroes. And ain't nobody got time for that. It is very important that you stop calling yourself black, please, because that man literally was identifying as a black man. And if you didn't know that he was a Bengali, you would have no clue. I mean, he definitely sounds like a homeboy. Like, yeah, you know, I'm doing this and I got this what do you call it? This company, and I just want y'all to know, blah, 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 blah. You would never, ever, ever know that this was actually an Asian dude. Like I said, dark skin, curly hair, and the Negro is going to mess up if we do not start actively and loudly delineating. It is so, 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 so important. But I digress. the reason that this matters is because there was actually a terrorist attack that happened this summer, a real live Al Qaeda terrorist attack that happened this summer in Rogers Park. And this is in Alderman Silverstein's ward. And she, by the way, is one of the people who voted to keep us a sanctuary city. But she the people in her community are the ones that they are literally targeting. They got maps of Rogers Park. They know where the synagogue's at. They know where the church is at. They know where the community center's at. Homeboy from Mauritania who shot the man on the way to the synagogue, they went to his house and found all the evidence, which is why he killed himself at Cook County Jail, because he didn't want to be interrogated. He's not the only person here in Chicago to stay on that type of time. This is not a game. I want y'all to listen to Homeboy. His name is Shamsuddin Jabbar. Listen to him. Hold on.
Good evening. I'm Shamsuddin Jabbar, property manager with Blue Meadow Properties and team lead at the Midas Group at Core Realty. I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So I've taken those skills and applied them to my...
All right, that's enough for him. So this, y'all hear his accent? You hear how it has that Texas, like, that Texas brother man accent. So these people are literally here cosplaying as us, just like Kamala just tried to do. We got people who are going to cosplay as Negroes in order to get more access in our country, because as quiet as it's kept, the Negro possesses lots of political capital. I digress. What we are asking for, again, is for the Chicago City Council, very simply, very, very simply, all we need you to do is go and get rid of the sanctuary city ordinance. This is not a game, y'all. This is not like us trying to be rude to these people. This has always been about terrorism in the city of Chicago, because if we do not get this together, we know that they're not going to come bomb the Austin community. We know they're not going to Woodlawn. They're not going to South Shore, because the Venezuelans are already over there tearing up. But we know that they can bomb downtown Chicago. And we know that that was one of the goals that has been going on even, before Al Qaeda was a big thing. General Gaddafi of Libya tried to go get Jeff Fort to use his gang to commit acts of domestic terrorism in the United States of America through jihad. So this is not a new concept. Nothing about what we're seeing is new. The only thing that we can do in this situation is honestly change the ordinance. That's it. That's our only means of protection right now, because the border is open and there are a lot of people in the United States of America right now who are here to get their lick back. We went over there to their countries. We did what we did. The word went out around the world. People went to Nicaragua, got trafficked to the United States, and here we are. They're coming to Chicago. P. Ray has never lied to you yet in the past 3.5 years that we have been enjoying each other on this show. Actually, 4 years. Yeah, 4 years was last. Oh my God, we should have did a celebration. I didn't even think about it. 4 years, Black Excellence Hour has been on the air as of 2 weeks ago. So shout out to Black Excellence Hour. However, for the past 4 years, I have not lied to you. I am not a psychic. I am not Miss Cleo, but I do have really good common sense. Very, very good common sense. And one thing that the Lord blessed me with is my ability to see patterns and come to conclusions. And the pattern that I see is that the sanctuary ordinance, just like it attracted the cartel here, friends, that's why the cartel is in the city of Chicago and we got all these people ODing. When we talk about the sanctuary city ordinance, it has to be in the context of terrorism, drug trafficking, and crime, because we got to stop talking about the Venezuelans. We've already said it enough. We've said that they don't deserve any money. We said we want them to go home. We've said that we're going to help ICE. There's nothing else to talk about. We got to keep the conversation flowing, because when you talk about the Venezuelans, you're talking about people that ain't got nothing to do with you. Whether or not they stay That's not your business. You can't do anything about it. That's the US government. We're going to help them how we can. But our business is the safety and security of our people, the safety and security of our nation. And if the city council is down there passing ordinances that make us more attractive to international terrorism, then we got to change them ordinances. I don't understand why this is not a logical conclusion for everybody. Again, I'm not a psychic. I'm not in the city council. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm just one lady from the West Side who spends a lot of time thinking about this because I watch the war every night before I go to sleep on Twitter. I'm watching all the attacks. I'm watching stuff in like Ukraine and Russia and Central Africa. If they bombing, P-Ray is watching, okay? And because I'm watching how these global trends are building, all evidence points to them coming to the United States of America to attack the United States of America. And we are putting ourselves in the direct line to be attacked through the ordinances. So please, 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 pretty please, call your alderman and tell your alderman that you want them to get rid of the sanctuary city ordinance. Again, it has nothing to do with the people who are working in the factories, even though it does. We're not talking about them anymore. We're only going to talk about them in the context of the terrorism that we're trying to prevent. Because again, Al-Qaeda has identified us as a place where they are going to attack using lone wolf jihadists and pickup trucks. Now, I said this last week, and I want to give a shout out again to Brandon because I went by the Christmas market and I saw that they had it all like barricaded and all that good stuff. And I was like, yes, Brandon, do that. That's what I'm talking about. So shout out to Brandon. But we also know that these people are not going to stop. This is serious for them. This is not a game where they believe that there's going to be an end game. They're coming to fight to the death, my people. They don't care about dying. They don't care about not going back home. They've already said goodbye to their people. This is not something that we should take lightly. This is not something that we need to tarry about, because at the end of the day, all we're going to have is a whole bunch of woulda, coulda, shouldas when it comes to how we could have prepared. That's it. I mean, that's literally the solution, in my opinion. And that way we don't have to keep on talking about the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because the more you talk about a problem, that's how you start trauma bonding. And P-Ray does not want to trauma bond with anybody. Now, I'm sure y'all are very nice people, but I don't like trauma bonding. I'm a solution-driven woman, and I need everybody to help us be more solution-driven. And we're going to do that by attacking the ordinances. It is very, very important. I want you guys to listen to this woman. She is Sarah Adams, and she's a former targeter at the CIA. Listen to this.
They call the invisible bomb in the newsletter, and basically it was highlighted in December, just this last December, and it was all.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to try to find that without this weird music behind it, because what Sarah Adams says is super important, which is why I did this show. They are here, my friends. They are here. They are here to fight. They are here to do what they need to do. Let's see if this one. I guess I can only get it with the music. Roll tape.
They call the invisible bomb in the newsletter, and basically it was highlighted in December, just this last December, and it was Al-Qaeda's in the Arab Peninsula, so the branch in Yemen, right? And they basically were showing off. It's really interesting. The video got taken down right away, and then I think most people in the U.S. didn't even see it, so like TSA completely ignored putting out the actual piece of the video that mattered. And so the big piece of the video was teaching terrorists how to make a bomb that goes through a magnetometer. So, you know, like most airports in the world, you don't have that weird hand scan thing. You just go through a random metal detector. So this bomb basically goes through the metal detector, okay? So they were showing it off then. Well, now Al-Qaeda's advanced, and it's in a suicide vest. But the interesting part is it doesn't just go supposedly through the metal detector. They made it with components dogs are trained on to sniff. So if you say, okay, well, we'll up our security, put more dogs, Al Qaeda is saying, well, we've defeated that too. And this is the type of vest they plan to use potentially in their homeland attack.
So they have bombs, y'all. They have real live bombs. They're coming to hurt the people. This is not a game. This is not a hee hee. This is not a funny. This is not P. Ray trying to rag the people. I'm sorry. This is not P. Ray trying to get the people riled up, but I really, really, really encourage you to watch the Sarah Adams interview. Miss Wanda, how much time do I have? None.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, we're gonna play one more clip from Sarah, where Sarah is actually telling us how these people are willing to fight to the death, and then we're gonna wrap this up because again, this is not a game. Roll tape.
Series is coming for us. That's like the test run.
The casualty count will be between 50 and 60,000 Americans dead. Am I wrong on that?
So I don't know the count that they're predicting. What I do know is Al Qaeda trained and sent 1,000 attackers.
1,000 attackers. When did they come through?
So they finished training and they deployed them. Now, depending on how they come through, it could take different times, right?
So wait a minute. I just want to clarify. You are 100% certain that there are 1,000 plus Al Qaeda trained fighters within the United States borders?
Well, Al Qaeda says they trained and deployed 1,000 for this attack. First off, I think there's more than 1,000 Al Qaeda members in the United States. But for the Homeland attack, that number is based on what Al Qaeda says, so they could exaggerate it. However, they did have about 1,400 in the Hamas attack, so the number is not off from what they did in the first round of attacks.
All right. Again, our sanctuary city ordinance is attracting these people to our city. I need you to help me, help us, and help everybody that you love in the city of Chicago. Please, 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 please help us get rid of this sanctuary city ordinance. Now, again, I know we saying that they ain't coming to black folks, but you could be downtown. You could be downtown when they decide that they're going to attack, and you too will be in the melee. This is a serious matter that we cannot take for granted. They are not coming to be our friends. Like I said, maybe us black people, because the Negro is the world's only superstar. So they're definitely going to try to come and be nice to us, but they're going to attack major places. So if you want to go to the Taste, you want to do anything like that, you need to be careful, please. And with that, the music is playing, and we are at the end of the show. And I thank you for coming to Black Excellence Hour today. Know that although it may seem that we are under a lot of stress, know that we got to count this all joy. Count it all joy, my people. The man is coming to get the people out of here in 15 days. Be sure to call ICE 866-DHS2-ICE. But know that we got more work to do after they get out of here. We got to focus on the terrorism, the drugs, and the crime, because Chicago is not a chaotic place. We do not need to find any comfort in chaos. We are serious about maintaining who we are and what we have, not only in Chicago, but from sea to shining sea. Any international force that is hurting us, we have the rights as Americans to get rid of that. And if we got to do that via ordinance, come on down here to City Hall and help us out. Everybody got a player in this plan. There is no pledging. All you got to do is show up, and you can come and help too. This is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. I truly appreciate you. Happy New Year, y'all. Let's get it in 2025. Mwah. Ciao. See y'all later.